What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fox Chamber. Today, we're going to step away from Mustangs, cars in general, and just remember the tragedy that happened back in 9/11/2001. And I'm asking a few of my YouTuber buddies to tell me where they were at the time this all happened. I was able to get up with a few of them. Some of them didn't respond back yet. I asked them at the first of the week, and a few of them got back with me. Everybody else is kind of busy at Mustang Week. Understandable. Not blaming them at all for this. It's my fault for probably doing it the last minute. But I've asked Brutal, Hicks House Videos, 417 Fox, and Funky 50. They're all gonna let me know and tell America where they were at when 9/11 happened. And I'll save mine to the end before I was in. There's nothing special, but I'm just gonna save mine to the end. Let everybody else go first. And we're gonna start off with Brutal.
September the 11th, 2001. I definitely remember where I was at. I was at work. It was a completely normal day. Sun was out. Just normal, right? And I remember somebody saying that a plane had flew into a building. And I remember thinking, what building? What are you talking about? And then we started hearing rumors of terrorists and of bombs and, you know, World Trade Center. And I'm like, what is going on? Well, we had TVs at work that kind of always displayed like current news. So everybody pretty much found a TV around them, and we all went to the TVs, and that's what we did. We sat around and we watched this unfold. And I actually witnessed live the second plane flying into the towers, and I'll never forget that. It was one of the worst feelings in the world. But at the same time, you know, one of the things that I did notice was how we pulled together as a nation. You had people that hadn't spoken to each other in years that were now talking. The nation pulled together, and it was terrifying, and it was absolutely horrible what happened. There was a lot of uncertainty, I'm not gonna lie. Too often we take for granted our freedom. We think it's just always gonna be there. I think September the 11th, 2001 proved to us that everything can change at the blink of an eye. So always be grateful for what you have. Love one another, spend time with your family and your friends, because you never really know. As tough as it may seem, never forget.
Hey Jim, thanks for having me on your channel. I remember where I was on 9/11 like it was yesterday. I was driving to work in my 87 two-tone GT, listening to the radio. That's when people actually still listen to the radio. The radio station I listened to normally did jokes and things like that. So when it first happened, when he first started talking about it, I thought it was a joke of some kind. But after, you know, a minute or so, I realized he wasn't joking that a plane had actually hit the towers. At that point, I was only a few minutes away from work. So we got there, a lady I worked with had ran home and got her TV so we could see what was happening. We started watching it, and about that time, the plane hit the second tower. And we just watched in horror as these things were happening. And then the firemen and policemen and just regular civilians were there trying to help people escape and not die. And that's when, thinking back, that's when our country just stood up. The men and women that ran into that burning building to save other people's lives and gave their own lives is what it's all about. My heart still goes out to all the families and children and everyone that lost someone that day over no reason at all, really, in the grand scheme. Over political stuff. But I'm so thankful for firemen and policemen that do this every day and stand up for people and give their lives to save people. And I hope that we can get back to the like 9/12, where our country really came together and stood together. And I hope we can get back there again and just forget all the political stuff and just love each other again. You know, we're supposed to love people. That's what we're supposed to do. But here's to all the people that gave their lives that day to help trying to save others, and my heartfelt sympathy go out to all the families that lost someone that day. Thank you, Jim, for putting this together. I'll see you guys later.
Hi everybody, I'm Funky50. I just want to say thank you to Jim for allowing me to do this. I appreciate it. The Fox Chamber. Where was I on September 11th, 2001? Well, I was at work. I was employed at the same place that I am now. I've been there a long time. I was listening to Howard Stern on the radio. Yeah, laughing my butt off, listening to a risque topic they were talking about. And somebody came into the studio and said, hey, one of the Twin Towers is on fire. There's a plane that just crashed into it. They said, turn the television on. And then that's when Howard's like, how are they even going to get up there to put that out? That's crazy. And as they're watching, of course, you know, they saw the other plane hit the tower. And immediately he was like, this is a terrorist attack. This is a terrorist attack. And Robin, his counterpart, told him, no, it's not. Don't jump to conclusions. He goes, absolutely. If two planes just crashed into the Twin Towers, this is a terrorist attack. And of course, you know, then you heard about, of course, the Pentagon and the plane in Pennsylvania. And of course, this show is based in Manhattan, so it's all unfolding right there. And he was on air longer than he usually is, and I'm telling people around me what's going on, and they're like, couldn't believe it. And my general manager at the time was still a good friend of mine. I was talking to, telling him about it, and of course then they said they just flipped out in the studio and said, oh my God, one of the towers just collapsed. And I was like shocked. And I went over and told my friend, and he was like, what? He grabbed me by the arm and said, you're goddamn kidding me. I said, no. He goes, oh my God. And at that point they had turned the radio on in the plant for the rest of us to hear. And of course later on in the day I ended up going home and turning on the TV like everybody else did and witnessed the horrors of what I listened to unfold on the radio, on television. And terribly, terribly tragic, man. I mean, I think this day and age right now, a lot of people have forgotten, and it's sad because a lot of souls passed away that day, and may they all rest in peace. So, but anyway, again, thanks Jim for letting me do this.
Where was I on September 11th, 2001? I think most anybody that is old enough to remember that tragedy and that terrible day in our nation's history remembers exactly where you were at that day and probably exactly what you were doing. I remember specifically, I was off work. My wife, Angela, she was actually in college at the time, going to Arkansas State University. I was at home. I was on my 4 days off from the steel mill, and I was actually playing a computer game. And my sister calls me up and says, Michael, do you have the TV on? I said, no, what's going on? She said, we're being attacked. And about the time that I turned on the TV was right after the second plane hit the Twin Towers. I remember being in awe most of that day and almost in a sense of disbelief seeing what was happening in New York City. I think many of us were just in shock. We did not know what to think, what was going on. There were so many unanswered questions that day, but all I know is it felt like the earth stood still that day. I remember staying glued to the TV for updates. One of the things that I remember most was after all of the events of 9/11 was how our country came together. There were no more Republicans and Democrats. There were no more blacks, whites, Hispanics, we were all just Americans. And that's one thing that I loved about it. The show of patriotism for our country and how our country pulled together was truly amazing to see. Now, one of the cool things about being part of the Fox Body community is it feels like that. It feels the same. And I'm not comparing a car community to that tragedy of that day, but the camaraderie and there is no race, there is no politics. We are all just car guys. It is part of the Fox Body Brotherhood. And that's really what's so cool about being part of this community. Guys, we remember today, September 11th, 2001, and remember all of the people that were affected and also lost their lives on that day. Let us never forget the sacrifices that were made on that day and all the days forward to help protect our country and to continue to give us freedom. Thank you to all of our law enforcement, first responders, and military personnel for what you do every day.
See, everybody's stories similar, very similar, you know, about everybody's reaction. But where I was at home. Actually, I worked I worked late second, and I just got off work that morning or that night around about like 2 in the morning. Just got off work about 2 in the morning, and I got home, went to bed, and my fiance, my wife now, but my fiance at the time was at work, and I got up, I cut on the TV, and evidently it wasn't on the channel where news was at, so I just laid there on the couch watching TV, and the wife busted in, or my fiance busted in, and said, "Do you see what's happening?" And I was, no, I didn't. She said, "Turn it to the news right now." So I flipped it over to the news, and everybody seemed to be catching it at about the same spot. The first tower has already been hit, and right when I cut the TV on, probably maybe a couple of minutes later, the second tower was hit, and I was still kind of groggy from just waking up, and I couldn't understand what was happening right now. It seemed so surreal, because it didn't seem like this was actually happening right now. And when my jaw was on the floor, and I can't believe this. I said, we're under attack, you know. I said, this is a terrorist attack. It's got to be, you know. And they were still on the news, still trying to figure out what was going on and everything. And I had so many emotions going through me at the time. I was sad, I was angry, you know, and just all these emotions going through me at the same time, and I just didn't know which way to go. One thing I do want to do is remember all those men and women, brothers, sisters, daughters, mothers, fathers, everyone that was lost in 9/11. The bravery of the passengers of Flight 93, when they realized what happened, they took control of the flight and didn't let it run into anything else that they had planned. All the brave men and women that lost their lives, all the loved ones that are still alive, that are still grieving, a special thank you goes out from me and everybody else in this video. And never forget, down in the comments below, if you have a story that you want to share, just comment down below where you were at, what you were doing. You know, it doesn't matter how long it is, because more likely I'm probably gonna read every single one of them. But just comment down below where you were at, and you know, share with everybody what was going on in your life at the time this all happened. I do want to thank everybody that did respond. I appreciate it. You know, special thanks goes out to Funky 50, Hicks House Videos, 417 Fox, and Brutal. I appreciate y'all for sending your videos in, sharing with America where y'all were at the time this happened. And y'all just keep all these families, all their loved ones and stuff like that in your prayers.